Then I recited the Shahada over the phone, taking that important step, and began to gradually learn about Islam for myself, piece by piece, exploring its teachings and understanding more each day. My name is Valentin, I'm 22 and I'm from Germany. How it all started, or rather, to go back a bit in my story, the way I used to live was a completely different matter. I was a very strong atheist, and I didn't respect religion itself or the belief in God, and I also didn't, it's hard to describe, I didn't respect other people's, I didn't respect faith itself, and I made sure people knew it. I never became violent or anything like that, or aggressive, but I made a lot of fun of people and gave them the feeling that they were the idiots, and I was the smart one. I felt very superior back then. Yeah, and in general, what are now considered Islamic values, I used to live the complete opposite. As is common in Germany, I also drank a lot of alcohol, of course. Yeah, then it started. There were one or two pivotal experiences that changed things, like experiences with death, where I myself almost died. And then I started to think about the topic of the hereafter. Is there a God or is there some power or something? And that was like a seed that had been planted. That continued for about 3.5 years from that very first experience. And then at the end of 2022, it started, I somehow became aware of Islam. That is to say, I met people who were Muslims and who really follow their faith and, well, not just follow, but who take their faith very seriously and strive to be very righteous. And it changed my perspective. And then I realized I had been misinformed and I started to question Islam. Because of that, I began not just to question Islam, but to really look into the scientific evidence. That meant I also had to recognize that the proofs for Islam, for the uniqueness of the Quran and of Allah could be established. And that's what I did. And then I found my evidence, whether it was scientific or from a philosophical point of view, there were no arguments against it. And if there are no arguments against something, I thought to myself, then there are only arguments for it. Then the more I delved into it and the more I also understood why there are prohibitions in Islam and commandments and why we pray and what we even say in prayer, I realized that everything has a very precise meaning and that everything has a beneficial function for us as humans and that it helps us progress no matter what we do. That whole process took about half a year. I read more and more, questioned more and more, and then I ordered my first Quran. And I read 10 pages, then I closed it and contacted an acquaintance. I wrote to him that I probably wanted to convert. I wasn't sure about everything yet, and I was also worried about my family, that I would be rejected, and the same with my circle of friends. That's a big fear that everyone has, and then we talked on the phone 2 days later, and I think it went on for 1 or 2 hours. And we talked about my situation, whether I was maybe overthinking it, that maybe I should trust in Allah more. And then I recited the Shahada over the phone and started to learn about Islam for myself, step by step, so that my relationship with my parents has definitely gotten better. I try to follow the Sunnah, and I was able to improve my relationship with my parents through that. And the same goes for how I treat other people. Before, when you live as an atheist and nothing makes sense, you don't have a moral compass, and you just do whatever is most convenient for you. But convenient isn't righteous, and I had a very bad way of dealing with people. I was a real jerk back then, in my opinion, and then I changed everything through Islam. My dealings with people, my demeanor, even my appearance, like my clothes, for example, I changed them and started to say that I want to be righteous and also appear that way, and I want to lead a proper life. And then I started to pray. It took a while, several months, before I managed for the first time to do all the prayers at the right time and also correctly. And the rest went quickly. I went to the mosque after just a month. 2 months after converting, I had already started Quran lessons to read the Quran in Arabic, and now I make an effort to learn a little something every day, and it's hard for me to deny the truth. I read some things that I didn't understand yet, where the background wasn't explained well, and I still thought I was superior and that the Quran was a poorly written book and some kind of nonsense. So I just easily dismissed it and put it in a box. But then I kept looking, watched more lectures, looked at legal rulings, and saw that you just have to dig deep enough to find gold, and that's exactly how it was for me.